Thanks for spending a piece of your day with me. I'm going to take a quick diversion out of Exodus to talk about Matthew 20. I have a section here that I'm actually going to be doing a lesson on tomorrow. And Hale, if you're watching, this is going to be a little sneak peek for you, and tomorrow you'll get the full deal. But I wanted to talk about Matthew 20, verses 20 through 28, where I'll just read it for you here. Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons, and kneeling down, asked a favor of him. What is it you want? He asked. She said, grant me that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom. You don't know what you're asking, Jesus said to them. Can you drink the cup that I am going to drink? We can, they answered. Jesus said to them, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at the right or the left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father. When the 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Jesus called them together and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So there's the way that I think about this, because we always have to kind of put it into words that work for us, is that Jesus is dealing with really three different mentalities here. The world's mentality is that I'm going at this myself. I have to rely on myself. I have to be most concerned with myself. I will reap the rewards myself, and their relationships many times reflect that. Whereas James and John are not there. They've been called out of that mentality. So the first one, I would call that like a selfish or a self mentality. James and John have gotten to the point where they are what I would call a selfish servant mentality. They want for others to make it to heaven, to get a reward, but they want to get the biggest reward. And I think that Jesus is trying to help them. He sees that they're making progress, but what he wants is for them to complete that progress. He wants them to grow into, instead of being a selfish servant, he wants them to become a servant. And a servant looks at it and says, the good stuff that happens to my brother or sister brings me as much joy as if it happens to me. When my brother repents of a sin, I have as much joy as when I repent of a sin, or when I see somebody's marriage improve, or a parent-child relationship that is repaired. When those things happen, that gives me just as much pleasure as if it happened to me. And so when we talk about thinking of the other as better than yourself, and thinking of one another, and all of those phrases that we use, I believe that's what he's trying to capture here. That you are thinking of yourself as less, being a servant to that other person, and taking joy in the things that are good for them.